Rivalry weekend is here. Round one of the Subway Series goes to the Yankees, but the Lone Star Series is as tight as it can be. We're taking you all around MLB. It's MLB game night. Every game, every night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night. Covering every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves Postcast. Follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That's Steve Lennox, host of the Locked On Red Sox Postcast, as well as Locked On Celtics Postcast. You can follow him on the X at Lennox on Baseball. And Steve, I want to get to the Twins just continuing their winning ways. Wilmer Flores kind of going nuclear today. And a fantastic pitching duel in Boston between the Red Sox and the Braves. Before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Steve, let's start in New York. We're going to start with the Yankees and the Mets. This is the Subway Series. These two teams have a ton of history. Obviously, Juan Soto was kind of a big deal there. Yankees win the opener 6-2. Let's hear from Stacey Gotsulias of Locked On Yankees with some of her thoughts about Game 1.
Game 1 of the Subway Series 2025 is in the books, and the Yankees were victorious. I'm Stacey Gotsulias of Locked On Yankees. The big story of the game, the return of Juan Soto to Yankee Stadium. What would Yankee fans do? Would they boo him? Would they turn their backs on him? Would they give him the Altuve cheer? They did all three. They booed him when he came up to bat. The bleacher creatures turned their backs on him when he first went out to the field to play right field. And then throughout the game, there were chants that I cannot repeat here from Yankee fans. Soto got on base a few times, but he did make the last out of the game, which was sort of poetic when you think about it. A serviceable pitching performance by Carlos Rodon. Mets only scored 2 in the entire game, and the Yankees win 6-2. So it was a positive opening to the Subway Series. We'll see what happens the rest of the weekend.
Steve, is this kind of what we expected to happen in Game 1 with all of the extra pomp and circumstance and off-the-field stuff surrounding this game?
I think it was talked about more than Knicks-Celtics Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals and the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. But I don't think it lived up to all the hype. And I think it was a lot of sports talk show hosts in New York who are still 15 years old with Darryl Strawberry posters on their walls that they just need something to talk about. Hey, Soto walks 3 times, but behind him, Pete Alonso did not have a good night whatsoever. I mean, Alonso just didn't show up at the ballpark. Like I said, Alonso or Soto 0 for 2, as Stacey said, made the last out of the game. But Alonso 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts right behind Juan Soto. There's your lack of offense. He got on base. Alonso's kind of coming back to earth for me.
Yeah, Mets go 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. They had a chance in here. And we'll get to the Mets side of this, but they held the Yankees to 1 extra base hit in the entire game. This wasn't the Bronx Bombers just launching a ton of home runs. This was a bunch of small ball, and the Mets just couldn't keep up. Speaking of the Mets, here's Ryan Finkelstein of Locked On Mets with his thoughts on why they lost this one.
On a night where Yankees fans were committed to booing Juan Soto every chance they got, those fans got the last laugh as Soto makes the final out of a game that was never really close as the Yankees beat the Mets by a score of 6-2. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and this game was really about Tyler McGill not stepping up when the moment called for him to rise to the occasion. McGill has had a very good start to the season, but he has looked shaky over his last couple of starts, and he was just completely thrown off by the environment at Yankee Stadium, and he couldn't get out of the third inning. Gave up 4 runs, put the Mets bullpen in a big hole for the rest of this series. Just a brutal start by McGill, and the Mets were never able to get momentum in the game as they were playing from behind from the beginning. Tough loss. Not a lot of the Juan Soto dramatic moments that we were hoping for as Soto gets walked in 3 of his 4 at-bats. But the final one, with a couple runners on in the 9th inning, he flies out to end the game. We'll see if Soto's got some fireworks in store at Yankee Stadium over the next couple of days.
Real quick, how surprised are you that the Mets season has kind of been built on a resurgent offense and great pitching got neither one of those things tonight?
Right. And, it's good to do that in April and into mid-May, but you need to sustain both of those things if you want to continue top of that division. We've talked a lot about the Phillies, and they're coming.
Yeah. All right. Astros versus Rangers, game 2 of a wraparound series, 4-game series here in Globe Life Field. This is the Lone Star series, by the way. Astros even it up 6-3 win. The Rangers had a 6-game win streak going that snapped tonight. Houston scored all of their runs in the 7th inning. It's Isaac Paredes with a 2-run single, Christian Walker hitting a 3-run home run. Good for him. He had been really kind of slow entering this game. This feels like these teams are kind of evenly matched here, right?
Certainly. And I think, they're not going away. And I don't think the Mets go away either back to the Subway Series. But with this one, it's now 1-1. Jacob deGrom was terrific in game 1. So was Hunter Brown. This one, a little bit more offense. It took a while for the Astros to get going. But once they got going, a big inning.
And Lance McCullers, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, but both unearned. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Like, he didn't get out of the first last time. Has a little bit better outing here. And then Rangers making it a little bit dramatic late. They took Josh Hader deep in the 9th. I think it was Josh Young did that. The big thing here, I always cringe when I see a pitcher go 5 2/3 innings. Can't get the final out to get the quality start. Nathan Eovaldi, 2 hits, no runs, but 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. Just could not get out of that 6th inning to get the quality start. Ends up with a no decision here in the game. Just kind of I always feel bad for those guys when you get that close.
I never thought about it in 5 2/3, but I often think about it 4 2/3 because there you're trying to qualify for the victory.
Win. Yeah. But like quality starts even harder there. Okay. Athletics at Giants. I don't believe they have a name for this one because they're just, like interstate rivals. But 9-1 Giants. Logan Webb is who had a more dominant game. Okay. Logan Webb, 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, walks 2. Wilmer Flores hits a grand slam in the 3rd, hits a 3-run homer in the 6th, and a solo homer in the 8th. 3 different pitchers. He counted for 8 RBI. He was a 2-run shot away from the home run cycle, which I believe has happened in the minors once ever.
I got a soft spot for Wilmer Flores. I just do. And, it seems I saw him in the minors when he was 17 years old. And we're going back. I mean, my youngest wasn't even walking at that point in time. Wasn't even born at this point. But Wilmer Flores, I mean, he's been around for a long time. This is a guy you want around in baseball for a long time to come, even after his playing days are over. That's always a thought I have when Wilmer Flores' name comes up.
Here's a fun comparison for you. Wilmer Flores is now the first Giants player to have 40 RBI to the team's first 45 games since some guy named Barry Bonds in 2001. What a comparison right there for Wilmer Flores. Just absolutely bonkers. Okay, this is our game. Braves at Red Sox. This was Chris Sale versus Garrett Crochet. It absolutely lived up to the hype. 4-2 Braves victory. Here's my postcast colleague, Jake Mastriani of Locked On Braves, with his thoughts on the victory.
Atlanta Braves get a big win over the Boston Red Sox on Friday night behind a great start from Chris Sale and a little bit of offensive help late. Jake Mastriani here from Locked On Braves, and the story going into this one was Chris Sale versus Garrett Crochet, 2 of the top lefties in the game in Boston, 2 guys who were traded from the White Sox to the Red Sox, and it delivered to the hype. Chris Sale a little bit better than Garrett Crochet in this one, who gave up a couple of solo home runs. Chris Sale just gives up one solo shot. The Atlanta Braves add on a couple of runs late thanks to some walks in the top of the ninth inning, and Raisel Iglesias barely hangs on, does bring the tying run to the plate, but the Braves hold on and they get over 500 for the first time this year. But Chris Sale was certainly the story for the Atlanta Braves in this one, with maybe his best start of the season. We'll talk more about that over on the Braves postcast of Locked On Braves.
Don't want to speak for you, but I watched DeGrom, Hunter Brown on Thursday and loved it. I watched this game on Friday, and it was a lot harder to watch because one of these teams was mine.
Garrett Crochet strikes out 3 in the first inning. You've got to be cringing. And then all of a sudden, in the second, Olsen and Murphy go back-to-back. It's 2-0. And if you're the Red Sox right now and you got Chris Sale on the other side, it feels like it's 7-0. And this is what you understand now with the series opener, what my frustration has been with the Red Sox, because they did a little bit of everything. They get back to a one-run game, and then let's walk 5 guys, including 2 with the bases loaded in the ninth
inning, yeah. The hard part on those home runs, too, was both of them. It was Matt Olson and Sean Murphy back-to-back. Both of them were fastballs above the zone. Like, they weren't even strikes. These guys went up and got them, got the home runs. And then, like you said, 5 walks by Boston in the ninth inning brings in 2 more runs for the Braves to make it 4-2. Just fantastic matchup. Grant Holmes versus Lucas Giolito tomorrow. Excited for us to talk about that tomorrow. Final game I want to get to here in this first segment, because I honestly feel a little bad about taking so long to even get to these guys. The Minnesota Twins at Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. No special name for this one either, but 3-0 win for the Twins. They've now won 12 games in a row. Here's Brandon from Locked On Twins just about how big of a deal this is.
Move aside Spinal Tap, because this one goes to 12 as your Minnesota Twins have won a dirty dozen in a row after Joe Ryan and friends shut out the Brewers 3-0, a 5-hit shutout in Milwaukee on Friday night. Whew. This is Brandon Moore with your Locked On Twins post-game minute. Your Twins are now 25-20 and finally making some headway in the AL Central, with the Guardians and Royals both losing. Those pesky Tigers didn't, but the Twins are now just a half game out of second place, which is an incredible sentence to say after seeing how this team played in April to start things. It was no Buck, no Correa, but no problem as the Twins singled the Brewers to death, with just one of their 9 hits going for extra bases. A hustle double, yes, that's right, from Christian Vazquez in the 9th inning. Fun fact, this was the first time the Twins have had back-to-back shutout wins since the first 2 games of the 2023 season, March 30th and April 1st against Kansas City. Up next, it's Pablo Day against Tobias Myers of the Brewers. First pitch 6:15 p.m. Saturday evening, and it's a nationally televised game. We'll have full coverage. Locked On Twins.
I don't really have any notes. He covered everything. I just love his fun facts. I say it every time. I love his fun facts.
Yeah.
That was a good thing to know about there.
There's one thing, as Brandon said, Pablo goes tomorrow. It's Pablo Day. But I've seen those headlines that I refuse to click on. But it's like, okay, he's going to be one of the top starters available. If the Twins continue doing what they're doing, he's not going to be available in July. There's no way.
They went from 7 under 500 to 5 over 500 without losing a game. I mean, it's the way their pitchers struck out 16 in this game, and they have a 24-inning scoreless streak. This team is not a team that looks like they're going to be selling anytime soon, at this rate. All right, in just a second, Will Benson, Pete Crow Armstrong, 2 really dynamic young outfielders that just had huge roles to play on Friday. We'll break that down next, right here on MLB Game Night. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day, and you suddenly realize you just want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible, because Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Game Time's official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming game. So Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, Steve, sometimes you can do everything right and still not get the result you want. The White Sox pick up 11 hits in Wrigley Field playing the Cubs, but they lose 13-3. 3 runs on 11 hits. We're going to get both sides of this. Here's Sam Olber from Locked On Cubs with the victorious side of the Crosstown Classic, as we're calling this.
Cubs handle their business on Friday afternoon at Wrigley and take care of the White Sox 13-3. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. We had a feeling it could be a wild one at Wrigley with winds howling out today. Those are always fun, but the Cubs really only hit 1 home run ball. It was a Pete Crow-Armstrong 3-run homer. He had 4 hits and 6 RBIs and was really the main story from the day. But I thought it was really nice to see Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki also have better swings, a lot of line drives into the gap. Cubs were, of course, helped by the White Sox defensively a little bit. Cade Horton was pretty decent, all things considered. Would love to see a little bit more whiff out of him, but overall the Cubs did their job, and Pete Crow-Armstrong is just having a very special season right now, and it's a pleasure to watch him play every single day, and he's doing it his way, and it's great. The Cubs got to come back on Saturday, take this series, and hopefully go for the sweep on Sunday. They got to take advantage of this weekend.
Pete Crow-Armstrong's tied for 7th in baseball with 12 home runs. He's also the best defensive player in the game, according to StatCast. Just amazing that he's doing both such a high level.
As Sam was talking about him right there, I'm thinking to myself, how many days in a row have we not heard the name Pete Crow-Armstrong with MLB Game Night? Because it's few and far between. He's in there, in that box score, doing something positive. And it's not just on the offensive side. We know his exploits defensively. He can go get it with the absolute best of them in center field for the Cubs.
Yeah. Flip side of this, we've got Todd Welter from Locked On White Sox. The White Sox have struggled a lot on the road, and you kind of saw some of the, like you said, the struggles, the inefficiency come up in this one. Here's Todd.
Miguel Vargas was magnificent. The rest of the team, not so much. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked On White Sox. And the White Sox get pummeled by their crosstown rival, the Chicago Cubs, 13-3 at Wrigley Field. And Vargas' swing adjustment continues to prove he's going to be a viable player for the White Sox as they go through this rebuild. He drove in all 3 Sox runs as he went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs. Pitcher Shane Smith was also solid on the mound despite allowing 6 runs over 5 innings. However, he was only charged with 1 earned run, and that 6-run second inning should not have happened in the first place. Twice, Smith induced ground balls that could have easily gotten the runner out at home. Instead, defensive gaffes by catcher Matt Thaiss allowed those runs to score and the inning to continue. And then Pete Crow-Armstrong crushed a 3-run shot to put the game out of reach early. Too many errors and not enough guys showing up led to this one being a rout. And I'll have more on Monday's episode of Locked On White Sox.
I mean, he kind of broke it down. It was just really self-inflicted errors by the White Sox, and the Cubs just being a better team.
And that will get better.
Yeah.
But it's gonna happen over time. It's not gonna happen overnight for the White Sox because they've got so many young guys all across the diamond, including their pitching staff.
All right, from the Crosstown Classic to the Ohio Cup, Guardians at Reds. Reds won this one 5-4. Will Benson played a pretty important role in this one. Here is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds.
Cincinnati Reds' quest for the Ohio Cup got started off on the right foot thanks to Will Benson again. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast. And make that 2 days in a row now that Will Benson has homered, this time a 3-run, no-doubt bomb into the right field seats that gave the Reds a 3-0 lead that they really never would relinquish. I mean, they got the 5, they gave up 4. That was the end of it. It was a very well-pitched game from the Reds' perspective. You know, Jose Ramirez did get a solo home run off of Tony Santillan in the 8th inning. Jose Ramirez is just going to get his. It's going to happen at some point during the game, and they were able to mitigate how much damage he can do to them, and ultimately they did all their damage early and held on. 2 wins in a row now, as was once said on Major League. That is a winning streak. It's happened before. We'll see if they can make it 3 tomorrow.
Talking about scoring early, Tanner Bybee, 4 runs. He's allowed 11 home runs this year. It's a step back from a great season he had last year.
Yeah, I'm distracted right now. I apologize, Lindsay. Locked on Angels. I assume that's John. Shirtless Jeff. Ha ha ha. That shirt was distracting. There was a shirt there.
It did look like he was shirtless when I first pulled it up. I will give you that. On the short, if you're on audio, it's the same color as his skin tone. It really threw me off too.
Hey, Jeff's happy. Will Benson, second straight game. Great to see. But with the Guardians, yeah, Bybee, keep the ball down, keep the ball in the yard. Not always easy to do though in that ballpark in Cincinnati. You'll get mashed for your mistakes.
You absolutely will. All right, I'm going to kind of rapid fire a couple of these here. Pirates at Phillies. Phillies win this 8-4, and it was quiet early, scoreless in the first 4 innings, but Philly picks up a couple runs in the 7th, 3 more runs in the 8th. A lot of it powered by Bryce Harper. 3 hits, 2 RBI, 2 run. Philly, for a ball go boom team, they only had 2 extra base hits. It was just bases loaded walks, singles. They got somebody hit by pitch with the bases loaded. But Harper did get his 1,000th career RBI in this one. And now the Pirates, in the last 14 games, 3-11. 2 of those 3 wins against my Atlanta Braves. Not bitter at all.
No, that's going to fester for a bit. You want me to take Orioles?
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Nationals now in the series. I told myself earlier in the day, Friday, whoever wins the series opener, I'm rooting for that team.
There you go.
So the Nationals win it. They get a run in the 8th inning, a run in the 9th inning, win 4-3. James Wood, the home run in the 8th inning, tying the game up. He's now got 12 home runs, 27 RBIs. By the way, his father, Kenny Wood, was one of my idols growing up. I'll tell you about that another time.
Nice.
Mackenzie Gore, interesting line. 3 2/3, 10 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 2, struck out 9. I felt like I was looking at Nuke LaLoosh and his final line through 102 pitches in 3 2/3 innings. Mackenzie Gore has to be more economical because this is a guy who should be able to go 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. You touched on it with the quality start earlier. This guy, every 3 out of 4 starts should be quality.
He got 11 outs and 9 of them were strikeouts. That just blows my mind. But he also gave up 10 hits. And then the Orioles offense did a lot of good stuff there. Adley Rutschman, 3 hits. Laureano, 4 hits, things like that. Cardinals-Royals. Cardinals won this 10-3. The rumors of the demise of the St. Louis Cardinals were greatly exaggerated. This is 11 of 12 games that they have won. They lost game 1 of the doubleheader against Philly on Wednesday. But that's it. They scored 14 runs that night. And then now they've got 24 runs in the last 2 games. Ivan Herrera is fully back, 3 hits, 4 RBI. Andre Palante, we're talking about quality starts. 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. It was kind of funny early. I had this game on. The Royals were celebrating the 40th anniversary of their 1985 World Series championship team. They did not have anything else to celebrate in this one because it was that 10-3. Their offense is back to being anemic. They've lost 5 of 6 since that 7-game win streak.
Yeah, consistency. It's real. Got to find it.
All right, in just a second, I want to talk about the Detroit Tigers. You mentioned them earlier. Or somebody mentioned them earlier in a short. They were pesky. They won again. We'll break that down next, right here on MLB Game Night. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Steve, the Tigers won 5-4 in Toronto against the Blue Jays. I have no idea how these two teams are rivals. I don't get it for every weekend, but Tigers have won 4 in a row. They're the first team now at 30 wins. It felt like this was, again, Javi Baez resurgence tour here. He had a homer. Zach McKinstry had a homer. Riley Green had a homer and 3 RBI. And Jack Flaherty just finally got a win again. It's the first time he's gotten a win in like 7 starts this year.
I've been talking, the Tigers sweep the Red Sox, and a lot of Tiger fans came into the studio, Locked On Red Sox postcast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was impressed by my numbers, and there were a lot of Tiger fans, and it was great conversation going back and forth. They thought it was a great series. They're tipping their cap to the Red Sox. I'm like, no, you won this series. You did a lot of things. They kind of handed you some gifts along the way, but they just, this is the team for me that wins the AL Central. I'll declare that right now. And if you want to throw eggs at me later on, that's fine. But before Memorial Day, there's just a lot to like about this team. And I think there's more in the tank. And I think they're going to position themselves to add, and maybe add big time at the trade deadline.
And what's wild is they're doing this without Parker Meadows. Like, they have guys like Javi Baez had to move to center field, and they're still getting this kind of production without guys like Parker Meadows. It's kind of scary to think about what'll happen when they're back. Casey Mize is on the IL, and they're still doing this. Okay, Rays at Marlins. We do have a name here. This is the Citrus Series. Marlins win the opener 9-4. I've got something here from our guy Jeremiah Geiger with Locked On Marlins about the victory. I think it was Connor Norby and Eric Wagaman had big roles in this one.
How about those Marlins bats coming alive in an opening win in the Citrus Series? What's up, guys? It's Jeremiah Geiger from the Locked On Marlins podcast. Any ailments or struggles that the Marlins were having in Chicago offensively, they certainly went away in a return back home. 9 runs, 13 hits. They drew 7 walks. Connor Norby put the Marlins up for good with a bases clearing double in the 4th inning. He had a couple hits. Eric Wagman had a 3-hit game. He'd been struggling as of late, so good to see him get going. And in a Max Meyer start, he went 5 innings, struck out 7, looked good, got shaky in the last inning, but it was the bullpen who came in for the last, 4 innings and put up zeros across the board. That's how you have to do it. It's a good win against a team that had been really dominant against the Marlins for the better half of this decade. Still work to be done to win this series, but they start off on the right track. Next Monday, check out Locked On Marlins to hear all about this series.
I mean, I'm happy for the Marlins. Like, they acquired so many of these young players, and they're starting to finally kind of show up in the majors and pan out. Like Connor Norby, Kyle Stowers was doing a lot. I'm happy for them.
Jeremiah is younger than Bendix, right? Who's running the Marlins right now? He's a lot younger. But Peter is young and running that club. Hey, he's taken it on the chin a lot. But he's had to basically do what ownership has told him to do. He's come in there. He came from the Rays organization, I believe.
Yep. Yeah.
It's going to take some time, but these guys are starting to build it, and they're doing it together. And next year, it may all of a sudden be they're division contenders next year in the NL East, just with all the lumps they've taken last year, and they're going to take this year. But it seems like they're learning. This is a learning curve, and they're starting to really start to put things together.
Yep. Okay, Mariners at Padres. This is the Vetter Cup, right? The Pearl Jam frontman designed the trophy for this one. Mariners win this 5-1. Here's Ty Dane Gonzalez of Locked On Mariners about the victory in the first ever Vetter Cup game.
Leads the Mariners to a big win on the road. This is Ty Dane Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. Mariners beat the Padres 5-1 to kick off this 10 games and 10 days road trip. Big win for the Mariners coming off of that 1-5 homestand. Really needed this one. Really impressive win. They nearly shut out one of the best teams in baseball. The Padres didn't get their first run in this game until they only had a couple outs left. And the Mariners came out swinging in this one. J.P. Crawford ambushes the first pitch of the game from Stephen Kolek, puts that over the right field wall. Rowdy Tellez and Cal Raleigh check in with a couple of 2-run homers. But the story in this one for me was Logan Evans, who goes 6 scoreless. By far the best start of the 4 that he's made here early on in his young major league career. And it was really that 3rd inning where the Padres got a couple of men on, and then he was able to induce a big double play, nice 6-3 double play by J.P. Crawford against Manny Machado. And then Evans comes back, strikes out Jackson Merrill swinging. And from that point forward, it felt like he really settled in. Gave up a couple of extra base hits from that point forward, but was able to easily work around them. He was fantastic tonight, gave the Mariners some much-needed length. And most importantly, they didn't have to use Andres Munoz tonight. So we'll see if they can get the series win either tomorrow or Sunday, and then we'll talk to you on the Locked On Mariners podcast on Monday. See you then. Peace.
I don't have much on this one other than the Padres drew one walk as an entire team on Friday night.
And that speaks to the pitching for the Mariners. Kudos to them. Put the ball in play. Allow that to happen. Use the guys behind you. I mean, it's cliche to say, but, again, Seattle's a team that I'm enamored with right now. And this is a fun series. Like you said, the Vetter Cup. Who doesn't want to win the Vetter Cup?
Exactly. I hope he's there to give them the trophy in person. All right. Angels at Dodgers. This was wild. 6-2 victory by the Angels. They turned 5 double plays. Here's our buddy John from Locked On Angels and from MLB Game Night with his thoughts on how that one went.
Every time I see a Dodgers highlight, it's like Dodgers pitching struck out 15 hitters while Shohei Ohtani hit his league-leading 16th home run as the Angels defeated the Dodgers 6-2. All those years of tungsten arm O'Doyle, gone. What's going on, everybody? John Fresh, one half of Locked On Angels. That wasn't the biggest story of this one. Actually, it was Jack Kohanowitz getting his first start against the Dodgers in his career, 6 2/3 innings pitched. He added a changeup, not the same changeup he was throwing in the minor leagues. But that was a real bread and butter pitch for him. He's not a guy who generates a lot of strikeouts, but what he did do was generate a lot of hard-hit baseballs on the ground. Had 5 double plays turned by the Angels in this one, able to keep the Dodgers off the base paths. And you know what? Tip of the cap to Shohei getting that home run. We still love him. Well, most of us do, but not everybody. But hey, you know what? We'll talk about this one on Monday on Locked On Angels.
Yeah, this is, I don't have a ton of thoughts here. Clayton Kershaw's back tomorrow. I'm curious to see how that goes for the Dodgers. But kudos to the Angels. Juan Moncada ambushes the first pitch he sees in the first inning for a 2-run homer. Took a lead early, never gave it up.
Yeah, and, the Dodgers have been here. They lose the series opener, but all of a sudden they'll come back Sunday, and John's going to be saying, wow, they just put up 20 runs in 2 games, and they take the series. We'll see what the Angels can do the rest of the way.
Yep. All right, final game of the night, Rockies at Diamondbacks. Arizona won this 8-0, and a lot of these stats are not flattering for the Rockies, okay? They walked more batters than they struck out, guys, and they only walked 3 batters. They had 2 strikeouts as a team. They only had 2 base hits, both singles, and Corbin Burns struck out 10 across 6 innings, 6 scoreless innings here. Arizona had 12 hits, 5 of them were doubles. It's just, I don't know what to say about the Colorado Rockies at this point in time.
Interim manager Warren Schaefer now 0-4 since taking over Bud Black, so that didn't really get them the results that they wanted. But good for Burns. Back-to-back scoreless outings for him, and seems to be ready to go to lead that pitching staff. And hey, 8 innings and you get the rest of the bullpen except for 1 guy. That's terrific for Arizona right now.
They need the help in the bullpen there. Yeah, just to save as many guys as they can. This has been MLB Game Night. We are back tomorrow. Reminder, this is 7 days a week. We cover every single game, every single night, like only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. For Steve Lennox, I'm Lindsey Crosby. This has been MLB Game Night.